PINA really is there to serve people who are practicing permaculture.
We're going to have a summit at the beginning of next year, 2024.
Then you have the opportunity to enter a design that has a chance to win a $5,000 grand prize.
Hello, and welcome to the Permaculture Vine podcast. My name's Cormac Harkin, and I've got two guests here today for a change. Slightly different format today. We have Jesse Tack and Sean Jennings from PINA.
PINA.
PINA. Do you want to introduce yourselves quickly there?
Well, I'm Sean Jennings. I'm coming to you from Hawaii, and I recently joined PINA as their communications coordinator. I help spread the word about what PINA has to offer. My background, I first got into permaculture way back in 2003, and I kind of just wanted to find a simple life where I could just grow my own food and whatnot. And permaculture popped up, and then I began to learn more about it and got into like sort of the activism side of things. And I eventually moved back to California for a little bit, did a couple community projects. We did a big event called Gardens of Gratitude in Los Angeles, where for a couple years we built 100 gardens over a single weekend with a bunch of volunteers, and that was a fun project. And I also ran my own landscape company. I worked for Eric Olson at the Permaculture Skills Center in Sebastopol for a while, and now I'm back on my homestead here in Hawaii, just kind of sharing what I've learned over all these years through YouTube and my blog, and then helping out PINA and wanting to see permaculture spread and grow so that we can start to deliver some of the solutions to a lot of problems we face. Like recently we had a fire here in Lahaina, and sometimes all we need to do is listen to the native peoples, and they have the answers. And for Lahaina, the answer was water. And by redirecting water, they had a massive, devastating fire. And permaculture has a lot of those solutions. And that's what drew me to permaculture. And I want to be part of that solution so that we can try and make the world have less fires and less problems.
Yeah, totally. That's awesome, Sean. I'm Jesse. Thanks for having me, Cormac. This is awesome. I'm from Michigan, and I work at PINA as well. Sean and I got hired around the same time just a few months ago, so we're kind of new to PINA, but my role at PINA is the program services manager, which is like I host a podcast, I do some live streams, but I also help manage the diploma program. Sean and I are going to talk a little bit later about the design contest that PINA is having. So I help sort of organize and manage some of that. And as well, we're going to have a summit at the beginning of next year, 2024. So that's sort of my role in PINA. It's been really fun working with PINA. Lots of great older designers who, are sort of the mavericks or some of the mavericks of the North American permaculture movement. And PINA, by the way, stands for Permaculture Institute of North America. So that's very much our focus, is the North American continent. So yeah, it's been a great job so far. Get to work with people like Sean. Everybody has really great skill sets and highly complementary of one another. My background with permaculture goes back about to 2003 or 4 too. That's when I first started to understand what it was and read Bill Mollison and get really inspired by what I was hearing him say and watching the Global Gardener series and things like that on YouTube at the time. I studied it for a while before I took my PDC in 2011 in Detroit. And that moment it was a really profound course for me. I was already well versed. I was like, I love permaculture. That's my jam. But that course really crystallized something for me and like really changed the course of my career. I started to do like local designs. I also started a local, more community service group where we educated about permaculture. And we did, over 5 or 6 years, we did something like 200 free education events in and around my town here. So yeah, and permaculture's been part of my income streams and a part of my livelihood ever since, really, in various ways. I've had small forest garden business. I've started a market garden. I kind of dabble in a lot of the food related topics with permaculture because that to me really struck, like, I got to get those skills. I got to learn how to grow food. I got to learn how to save seed, make cuttings, grow trees, that sort of thing. So yeah, permaculture is an endless grab bag of fun for me. And I agree with Sean, like the solution piece was really critical. In a world that I felt like was just kind of falling apart. I was like, well, permaculture just stands above everything else as like making sense. So it's something everybody can grab and utilize in their own country or city or wherever they are in the world. And I think if we're all doing that, maybe there's like this like hidden world that we don't quite see out there of all these permaculture people doing all this like regenerative work across the world. And I'm just honored to be a part of that. So yeah, that's my background.
That's great, guys. Thanks very much. That's what part of our podcast is, to try and find these people, find people as well that don't have such a big presence and share their story. And as well on the solutions part, we're running a 12-part series now over the autumn and winter about having like discussions about how these problems can be solved by permaculture. So maybe get the twos back on if you want to get involved in that, because I like the solutions bit as well, the practical side of it.
Yeah.
And just like, what are the actual solutions to these problems? Because it can get frustrating seeing all the problems on TV when you know the solutions are there. Politicians tend not to talk about them. So let's get into PINA. What is PINA? It's a what does the institution do? Who wants to take that one? Sean.
Okay, well, I'd have to say that PINA really is there to serve people who are practicing permaculture. We want to make sure that you have the resources that you need to be able to further your career in permaculture, or to find the educational resources that you need, so that we can have more people out there solving these problems that we see in the world. So what do we have? We have a diploma program where people who take their PDC can go on and take an advanced permaculture training and get paired up with a mentor, someone who's been practicing permaculture for decades. We have a whole host of permaculture practitioners that we work with that are mentors in the diploma program, that have their own businesses in permaculture. They've been teaching PDCs. We also have we connect with regional hubs, and we find ways for communities to start to build networks so that they can collaborate together. PINA is really big on trying to build those communities. We also have a series of regeneration projects. We hosted a biochar, a fire educational project to teach people about sustainable fire management using permaculture practices. And PINA also offers up a lot of educational opportunities. We have talks with prominent permaculture practitioners all the time, just like you. And we have a podcast, and we're hoping to bring out some more educational material on the website soon. And all this is part of a membership that we offer that people can be able to access as being a member. And we also have a design contest that's actually coming up pretty soon on August 1st, or no, I'm sorry, September 1st is when the submission period opens, where if you're a permaculture designer and you think you got the skills to compete with other permaculture designers and want to show off the work that you're doing, you could enter into the contest and potentially win $5,000. So it's a pretty cool thing that PINA is doing, and we want to help promote those projects so that people can see them throughout not only their community, but the rest of the country and the world, to help inspire others. So I feel like PINA is trying to do a lot of good work here in North America, and we also help to support others across the world. So I'm excited with what PINA has to offer right now.
Right. So you do support others across the world. So it's the likes of me, but I've done designs in America. Can anybody sign up for a membership? Or do you have to be based in America, or is it if you're working in America?
We were just talking about that, and you can sign up for a membership if you're outside of the United States. So because so many people have been, part in America, part out of America. So it's open to all. It's just that our main focus and our main service sort of opportunities. I don't know if the design contest is limited to North Americans, but I think it is. So there's some places where like the diploma program only applies to people living in North America. And again, there might be exceptions if it's like, hey, I spend half my time here and half my time there. We might be open to that. But the main thing I think that PINA is interested in terms of like outside of North America, is just remaining connected, knowing who's out there, maybe helping other institutions. That's not something we're actively doing right now, but it's something that I think would be appropriate for PINA to connect with other institutions in Australia and in Ireland, wherever they happen to be, and just knit together that global sort of movement.
Yeah. And then is there for a membership, what do you get as a member, or what do members get? Is there a fee for membership, or?
Yeah, there's 3 levels. There's a $20 level, a $50 level, and a 75. The 75 is more for professional and diploma holders. So one of the, like, into the history of PINA a little bit, one of the reasons PINA sort of was established, and it came around in the 80s and a little bit in the 90s, it's been this slow build, was to assure the quality of the PDC. I think a lot of PDC teachers and, some of the permaculture pioneers were seeing, people improvising on the curriculum of the PDC and maybe taking some of the curriculum of the PDCs that they were teaching further and further away from the big black book, right? The Permaculture Designer's Manual by Bill Mollison, which is supposed to sort of be, these are the 72 hours, everybody needs this. And then it's like, cool, you've been initiated. Now go off and learn, go off and get skills, go off and, make mistakes, and go off and give free design consultations until you gain like expertise at it, because it takes time, right? But you kind of need that foundation to start with. And so that's one of the main things that PINA has been focusing on, is like making sure that the PDC is at a certain standard. And then the diploma program is the sort of the next step. Okay, I don't know about you, Cormac, but when I was done with my PDC, I was a little bit like, okay, now what? Like, this is amazing. This changed my life, but okay, what's the next step? Is there like support? Is there a sort of a network that I can get involved in of like young-ish permaculturists who are developing their skill set before we really become professional at it? And that's really what the diploma program is about. And so that's that $75 membership tier. If you're in the diploma program, or if you're a professional already and you make all your money with permaculture, that's probably where you'd want to be. And there are resources that go with that. And then the $50 tier is more just supporting members. And then the $20 for like students and volunteers. And yeah, we have a media library, so we're always adding to that. Sean and I are both a part of that, building out, different webinars, live streams, educational events. Most of those are made available to the public for some period of time, and then they go behind the PINA member paywall. So members get access to all that forever. And then there's things like being able to, sign up for the design competition. That's for members only. The summit will feature members. So, and we're trying to build membership sort of support all the time. One of the things that we've been doing recently is we kind of created our own, it's kind of like a Facebook, but for permaculturists, and anybody can join that without membership. But that's been allowed to occur because of our members. And that's called the PCX, Permaculture Crossing is another way to think about that. It's on the software program called the Mighty Network. So Mighty Network is essentially like Facebook, but and you can have your own little group inside of there. So if anybody's listening to this, please come join us, because that's kind of like if you're sick of Facebook because all the other stuff, will come to the PCX, and that's where like it's a feed and you can post things, but it's very focused on permaculture.
That's excellent, because like I would consider myself knowledgeable about all of the networks. I've never heard of that one, so it's great. They can share that, and I'll put the link in the description.
Cool.
And that's them prices are free a year.
Yearly, yep.
Well, straight away, I think that's really good value just to have that network for $70, or even for 20 as a student.
Yeah.
It's definitely a problem I had. Once I graduated, I seen it was a survival podcast had a autumn summit, and I can always forget the name. It was the Urban Dirt Company. Basically, we're based in the US somewhere, and they were installing gardens. I said, well, I can grow. I've got my permission now. I've got my certificate. I've got all the tools. So I threw up a website, and then through the website, then I was able to, I landed some freelance work. And then that's what got me going. I sort of fell into that, and then networking, then that got me networking with other designers, and then talking to other designers and realizing, well, there's not that much network out there. So joining PINA would have solved that problem for me.
Yeah, me too.
And it's good to have. And then there is other networks as well about the place, but like for $70, I think that's great value. And so tell us more about the community, the Mighty Network. You say that's open to everybody, and what kind of things go on in that network?
So that's just getting actually built currently. So it's up and available. People can join it. Mighty Network is not associated with us. They're just the platform that hosts the sort of container. And so if you look up the PCX, that's what we are, and anybody can join that. And yeah, the cool thing about the Mighty Network is they're based on two main pillars, which is very in alignment with permaculture. And the first is like community development, community best practices. Like, how do you build online communities that are not only just like, are you a part of, but like people are excited by and engaged in and active in. So they have a lot of like educational things that we can borrow as being a sort of a member of the Mighty Networks. We can learn from all their case studies essentially about how their best communities have been organized and what are the best like structural sort of things to put in place to have really healthy, vibrant communities. And one of the things, just to go in a little bit deeper on that, is to structure things by having like themes over the seasons or themes over the year, and then having monthly sort of like foci, I guess, or this month we're going to talk about permaculture business. Next month we're going to talk about permaculture nonprofits. You know, the next month we'll talk about the ethics and how that applies to your life and your permaculture. So themes are really critical. And then they also have like a lot of built-in software things like polls and creating different types of like multiple choice options or ways for communities to engage. So it's really designed with that in mind. And that's part of PINA's work. We actually are working with another organization called ARC, which is the Association for Regenerative Culture. So PINA and ARC both co-host the PCX, and we're both thinking about the themes and trying to make this a really fun, enjoyable place for permaculturists. And then the other piece I mentioned, the community development is one pillar. The other pillar is course creation. And I think this is super cool too, because anybody who happens to be on the PCX can actually host their own course and make their own profit from their own course. Now, we may or may not like have arrangements like affiliate links or something like that where PINA gets a little bit of the money for being the host. We're still figuring that out. But one of the cool things is being able to basically host and create courses that can be very, very niche, very like you could have one about like the best plants in Northern Ireland course or something like that, and just charge, you know, $50 or something, and it could just be sitting there passively and people will take it as they see it and as it applies to them. So we're going to build some more courses, and we think our members can also build courses, including full PDCs if they want to do like part online PDCs, which is pretty common nowadays. They could be hosted on the PCX too.
Yeah, that's great. We've actually been building out our own platform as well. Funny enough.
Yeah.
So we have a course. So I'll be definitely joining that network.
Cool.
So I have a course. We have a course now. We're nearly finished. We're launching next month. It's called the PDC to Professional. So it's basically taking a PDC graduate, teaching them client communications, how to deal with clients, setting expectations, and then teaching them digital design. So if they want to become a digital designer, because that's sort of where our experience was. And we had a sort of teach ourselves at the start. And I just took 2 weeks and learned Affinity 2. So would I be able to just put that course on there?
Yeah, there's some technical like figuring out how to do it, and we actually have support staff to help with that. But yeah, you would be able to. And again, I don't know how the price arrangement would work necessarily. How much is that course, by the way? How much are you going to charge?
We're not quite sure yet. We haven't set a price point, but it'll be like $300 or $400 around that price point.
And it'll be evergreen, like always available for people.
Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll have the initial cohort for a reduced price, and then we aim to add content as we go and as we learn and as we develop. So it'll start off with once you get a membership, once you buy the course, that's you for a lifetime. And as we add more content to that, you'll get that for your initial price.
Yeah. And I think the nice thing about potentially having that course on your own site, but also hosting it on the PCX, would be people on the PCX would be able to just sort of stumble upon it or reference it within that network. So you might get a built-in audience generation system from that. But yeah.
That was our idea as well. We have offered other people to come on our course. So I've heard of a few of these already coming up. It's good. People are thinking like that to share audiences and get away from this is mine, to the more of an abundance. They helping each other out, because I think like the world needs us. The world needs permaculture with all this stuff that's happening. And to me, we need need to share that out. There's plenty for everybody.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I know, Sean, you do too, right, buddy?
Oh, totally, man. I get it all the time. Like there's just by running I run my own YouTube channel, and I have so many opportunities that I would just love to flow to other people. But sometimes that network isn't there. And if we just all connected more and saw that we can use each other as resources as opposed to someone to compete against, then we could grow so much better. But we just need to shift our mentalities to see that. And I just really want to see people start to think that way. It'd be great.
Yeah, we are working with a few people like that. Who on paper they look like competitors, but we're not really competing. We both offer similar services, but it's just like I can pass you their details on later. They have a podcast as well. I Grow Your Grass Off. So we used to work with them, and now they've started up their own thing, offering designs as well. They do coaching, which is to me is an interesting model. So they offer permaculture coaching for like they'll take your hand basically if you're growing a garden to get you started. So it's like a personal trainer having someone there over the end of the phone and give you a plan of right, here's what you do over the next 30. I think it's 30 or 45 days.
Yeah, that is an interesting model, the coaching model. And like by way of abundance thinking, I think we've all grew up in the scarcity model, and we start to, if I'm a designer, then there's no room for multiple designers in this town, sort of that mentality. But when you start working together, like when I study marketing, one of the biggest things they say in the marketing space is like, you want to mimic successes. You want there to be a lot of eyeballs on something. You want something to be popular. And that's how like, oh, that's a place I should go to, because there's already interest in there. And then once you get into those spaces of like lots of eyeballs and lots of attention, you can subcategorize and you can become more niche down and say, maybe in my town, there's already a bunch of PDC teachers. All right, well, what can I do that adds to the PDC or connects to it? Like that nobody's doing. Maybe I can offer the coaching, or maybe I can offer install or various things. But if you're not working with the other PDC teachers, you just cut yourself out of the whole audience. It's sitting there waiting for you. So, and I'm not saying I've got this mastered, but I do think we need to keep moving toward the abundance and the collaboration model rather than this is mine. I don't want to work with you. I don't want to work with you sort of mentality.
Yeah, and I think as well with particularly the permaculture design, you have so many niches and so many circumstances and climates, zones. Like I'm a zone 9 here, but I'm not a Florida zone 9. I don't have the heat.
No,
but technically I'm a zone 9. So when people
Crazy.
say, so it's completely different. And then you drive 6 hours down the road, and it's a different climate altogether.
Yeah. So
are you by the sea, you're not by the sea. So all these specialities, dry lands, there's hundreds and hundreds of them.
Yep.
So I think getting the expertise. So a PDC. So you say you check the PDCs to see if they're up to a certain standard. So how does that process work? Do you use, if I offer a PDC now, do I go to you and say, go on, check this out to see if this meets a standard?
Well, the PDCs that PINA supports are people who already went through the diploma process through PINA. So that's the way that we can sort of promote and know that who we're promoting as far as PDC teachers are up to a certain threshold because they already completed the diploma program. We do have fast tracked and experience track diplomas for those PDC teachers who've already been teaching for 20, 30 years. So it's not like everybody enters the diploma program at ground zero. If you already have a big catalog of PDCs and you can document that, then you can get through the program much quicker. But essentially, yeah, when we have diploma programs or diploma holders, we will then feature them on our website. And Sean has been working on website pieces of the website where it's like on our front page of PINA website, if there's a PDC coming up by a diploma holder, it'll auto-populate. Maybe I'm wrong on this, Sean, but it'll auto-populate on the front page of the website. So PINA kind of acts like we're promoting our diploma holders by saying like, these guys are great. If you want to have a really quality, PDC that's really in adherence with the curriculum that Bill Mollison sort of first laid out, then we fully stand behind these teachers who took the PINA diploma program. And I think part of our mission is to also reach out to PDC teachers who haven't taken a diploma program throughout the North American continent, but are really living up to that standard. They're not watering it down. They're not adding a lot of like, whatever mystical things. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but Bill Mollison famously said, we can't teach mysticism because it can get so co-opted and it can get so cultish. We have to stick to the science and the ecology. So yeah, I think one of our tasks in PINA is to reach out to more of those teachers and bring them in and say like, hey, we'd love to promote your work because you're doing really high quality work. But we don't go out there and audit other PDC teachers or anything like that.
Right. So I must have understood there. I thought you were on about the course, not the certification. So let's get on to the competition. Who wants to tell us about that?
The design competition. Okay.
Yeah.
So the permaculture design competition is something that PINA has been hosting for the past few years. It's open to all permaculturists who have taken their PDC. You do have to apply to be a member first of PINA to enter, but as you can see, it's being a member is a pretty good deal. But then you have the opportunity to enter a design that has a chance to win a $5,000 grand prize or a best new designer prize of $1,000, as well as various other physical prizes such as books and whatnot. And past designs have focused on the permaculture ethics, the principles, and how their permaculture design fits into the community in which it's set. So will the design impact the community as a whole? Is it just for a particular piece of land and for one family? Like what are the invisible structures that you're trying to address with the design? And the best designs have seemed to be the ones that really are out there, that are well thought out and also addressed a problem within the community that can be solved through that design. And PINA really wants to help support those projects. But regardless, if you're able to highlight the permaculture principles and all the design techniques that you've learned through a PDC, pretty much any design has a chance of winning. The jury is made up of 5 esteemed permaculturists who are part of the PINA board. They choose the initial 5 top finalists, and then we leave the voting up to the community after that to be able to determine who they think is the best design. And so we're really hoping to do a few things. We want to get people who've taken their PDC to get out there and start designing. We want to get new permaculturists into the fold and start to spread awareness through this design contest. And we want to present solutions to communities out there so that they can see what permaculture has to offer, how it can be used to solve problems that we're currently facing in pretty much every community across the world. So we need these design challenges more than ever. We need people designing, and hopefully we can get a lot of you out there to be part of this design contest, because we want to highlight and showcase everything you got.
And I'll just throw in the dates in case you're listening and wondering. The submission period is from September 1st to October 1st. And then November 1st, we'll announce those top 5 designers chosen by the jury, like Sean was saying. And then we'll do online voting in November 7th. And then we'll actually feature on sort of my version of the podcast, which is kind of more of a live stream, but then Sean turns it into a podcast. We'll feature the top 5 finalists, and we'll like look at their designs, and it'll be all open to the public. And yeah, it'll be really fun. And then finally the winners will be announced on November 27th. And then, hopefully if all goes well, we'll follow up with those people who won a year later or 2 years later and like say, how did they go? Like, let's show us what happened. Like, where'd that $5,000 go? How far did it push your project forward? What did you learn? That sort of thing. So yeah, it's really fun to be a part of.
Yeah, we've had a past winner, Tal Orion, who submitted and won the design contest, and then they actually went on to implement their design, which was really cool. And we got to highlight all of that in a video. So, you know, you never know what might happen, what might come out of just submitting a design in this contest. It could lead to some really cool things.
I think the more creative you can be, the better. The more you can like tie in like how this might help the community, even if it's just at your own spot, or how you're using the ethics or the principles. Like, it's a true permaculture design. So we really want to see that holistic thinking in action.
Yeah, I take it it's both digital and hand drawn.
Yeah. Any way you can submit it. And we have a Google form that'll be live on the website come September 1. And the website is PINA.in. So easy to remember, PINA.in. And people can go and submit it as long as you know, are a member, then you'll have access to that. And any type of drawing is fine. You're not being judged upon the quality of your CAD or, you know, your graphic capabilities. That's nice. That's wonderful. But not everybody has those skills. So even if it's in crayon or colored pencil, as long as the thinking is there, that's what you'll be really judged upon.
And does it include a narrative as well? So you have to, I take it, write an essay of how the design works and how it solves the problems.
Yes. Yes, exactly. There's a bit of in the form where you fill it out, there's a bit of a written, like, tell us the scope and use as many words as you want. Give us the full picture here. So, yep, that's a big part of it.
Yeah, I always think that's the most important part of the design, because if you hand a client a garden design, you look at it, it looks beautiful, but what does it do?
Yeah.
And I always take them on the journey from, you're standing in your kitchen and you want some herbs. Where do you go? Have that stuff close to your kitchen garden, and how do you walk through the garden, and how do you interact? That's why I was my starting point for my narrative, how an individual interacts with the garden, and how the garden then interacts with the house.
Yeah, because you have to get it off of the conceptual page, so to speak, and into like your lived experience, especially if you're designing for a client, because they're the ones going to be living in the experience, not you. So it really it has to become very tactile and very practical to the client.
Yeah, and like everything from mobility, personality. Are they very laid back? Are they high energy? Are they want to do plants every day? Or they just want to go to look at it and relax?
Yep.
And for me, the only thing I just envision the people in it who are going to be using it and how that functions.
Yeah, so what we're trying to do, part of the design contest, is also offer up resources for the people who do enter to be able to you know, come up with those ideas. How do they deliver their scope? You know, how would they convey a design on paper? And so we're drawing in resources that we found on the online world and things that we found to work, and then, you know, offering that up to the entrants so that they can also build their design toolkits through this design contest, so that we can all skill up together and have, you know what we're doing when we're out there dealing with clients or city governments or whatever, because yeah, we all need to be doing more of that work.
Yeah, so for $70 you get membership, access to resources, mentorship, advice, community, and you enter a competition, which at the very least will build your portfolio up and give you a good for your professional career. That's not bad value there.
Yeah. And Sean and I are really all about that value add too. So we're always thinking of other ways we can add more value. Because there's a million subscription services out there, right? So we want to make it really robust, and kind of like you're saying, Cormac, kind of like no brainer. Why wouldn't I sort of sign up for that? Of course.
Yeah, I would recommend any recent graduate, even people who have got a PDC and maybe have left it on the shelf for a few years. It would definitely be a gateway of just getting that action going. And that's all it takes, is a bit of forward momentum, and you don't know where it could end up.
And you always want to know people who are into permaculture too. And sometimes you don't know all those people in your town, so it's nice to have an online space where it's like, haha, these people get it. You know, they're my people.
Yeah, no, communities.
Yeah, there's more of us out there than you think. That's what I've realized. You know, when I grew up in Los Angeles, and I just thought it was full of people who were pretty shallow into Hollywood and all that scene. But I tried to start this community group out there once, and I just put up a flyer and said permaculture meetup group, at the library. And then wow, to my surprise, people showed up. I was like, wow, there's other people in LA that are into permaculture. And, all of a sudden I found people all around me. So it's like, you never know. Like you could have a lot of like-minded people right next door, but you don't even know they're there. And we're hoping to, do our part to connect everybody through PINA. And being a member, not only do you get what we have to offer, you're helping us promote permaculture so that we can get more people in the fold to start to recognize that there are solutions out there. I feel like that's most of what people are sitting grasping with right now. They see the world and the problems that we have, and they just sit there thinking that it's the end, we're screwed. Like, but really, if we just each individually starts implementing small, simple solutions, like we can make a huge impact. And so we really want to get permaculture spread out there to the masses, and together we can do it. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I would add that it is small and simple solutions by individuals. It's not high investment, high technology, all this stuff that you have no control over that's going to actually solve all the crises at the end of the day. Because it's to me, it's madness because the solutions are there, and you just have to just start with yourself, start with action. And what I've found as well with communities and permaculture is once you start moving and going forward and talking to people, all these people turn up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think the part of the thing that Sean is doing too, because he really works on the social media aspect of PINA, is that piece is so critical. Because like, how many kids are growing up today, just getting out of high school or whatever, and they're on TikTok all the time, and they're sitting there thinking, just like Sean said, just like, man, this world is like screwed up, man. Like, where are we going? The solutions that the politicians are promoting, or like you're sort of saying, Cormac, like the big industry solutions seem kind of like, I have no play in that at all. I have no say in that. And oftentimes they're laden with like, they sound good, but actually that's not good for the environment, what they're proposing. And so if we can start to capture some of that attention span that this economy is really based on nowadays, I think that's our duty in the permaculture world, is to try to reach those younger folks who they just haven't heard of it yet. But once they do, they're like any of the three of us, where it's like, oh, finally, that makes sense. Like, this is something I'm going to pursue. And then you can start to meet people. And like you're saying, Cormac, just start moving in some small direction. And people are attracted to that. And they're like, oh, this is great. This is powerful. This is something we can do to like improve our lives, improve our town, that sort of thing. And who knows, man, I hold out faith that we'll live in a permaculture utopia, but I'm a dreamer, so I can dream.
Can you send me the address? I think we're all right as well. I'm quite positive. The way I look at it is I have to learn this stuff to teach my kids, so at least my kids have solutions. Instead of growing up through this TikTok where and the news that they're telling everything's a disaster, but I'm always telling my kids that that's not really true. You're going to be okay. Just sort yourself out, and let the politicians worry about all the rest. But you have to take control of your own. You can't fix the world unless you fix yourself first. So start at ground zero and show and be an example for others. I think that's all we can do. And the social media really shows it. And you're right, we have to be out there. No, that's good. Good that PINA's getting into that. I can't believe I was always calling it PINA for some reason.
Pina colada.
First thing you find when you search it on Google.
Yep.
Guys, anything else we haven't covered about PINA?
I would just promote a little bit more, like if you've taken the PDC and you're looking to go to the professional level and like run a successful some type of business, I would highly encourage you to look into the diploma program that PINA offers, because of, like Sean was saying earlier, we have mentors who can really walk you, it's not like hand in hand, but they're there to check in periodically. They're there to make sure that if you have I don't know about you guys, but when I try to like build my own design consult thing on my own after my PDC, it was a lot of uncertainty. I was like, and then then a client's upset at you for something and you're like shook and you're like, I don't know how to move forward. Like, oh crap, did I just mess this whole thing up? like being connected to some type of professional development thing like the diploma program, it could really save you a lot of just like wasted effort, insecurity, deciding to retreat and not pursue that vision that you had just because you don't have that person by you going, no, this is fine. Everybody goes through this. Here's what you do, take it to this next step. So I would encourage people just to look into that if they're looking to, and we have 6 diplomas. They're in all sorts of things. It's not just education. It could be about site design or site management. It could also be about communications, media. So there's kind of something for everybody there, but just consider using PINA as a resource for that. It's not free, but it is a real streamlined process to take your permaculture enthusiasm to the level where it's like your livelihood.
And is there anything in the pipeline for PINA? Any big things that are happening in the next year or two?
What would you say, Sean? Probably the design competition and then the summit?
Yeah, that's what we have, I think. We're still working on what the summit is. Every year we have a theme for Permaculture Leadership Summit, where we try and gather some of the leaders of permaculture to talk about solutions. We also every month have our regular talk live streams and talks online, and we invite everyone to be part of that. But down the line, Jesse and I are always talking about developing online material to help everyone out there, courses or teaming up with other permaculture practitioners that have courses, and be able to find ways to make those resources available to everyone out there. Because I've tried to make permaculture a career ever since I've learned about it. And one thing I've learned over the past 20 years is that sometimes it's better to just kind of pay for that experience so that you can jump over that hill of where you want to go instead of spending years, probably spending more money over those years to get to the same place. Yeah. So that's really what I'm excited to see PINA offering to our members and to the community, is a way to jumpstart and kickstart their path into permaculture and making a career out of it, or changing their communities with permaculture.
That's very aligned with our podcast. So join PINA and listen to our podcast and you'll be all right. The perfect solution. Guys, thank you very much. That's been great hearing about PINA, the competition, and I would definitely recommend it for members or for people who are in North America. That it's fantastic value, and I can't emphasize enough how much value that is, just to be a part of something and have that experience that you can tap into.
Thank you, Cormac. And, hey man, this has been great. And by the way, the invitation is to you. If you ever want to be featured on our live stream, we'd love to have you. We can promote Vine and hear a little bit more about your experience with permaculture. We'd love to have that. So
that'd be great. Well, I think Vine and PINA can work together. Mike, our co-founder, he's in Vermont. So we have one leg of the stool.
We have an in.
We have one leg of the stool in North America, one leg in Australia, and one leg in Ireland. So
you guys are covering everything. That's great, man.
I think that counts as we're in. So we'll definitely be working together in the future.
Yeah, congratulations to you. It sounds like great stuff you're up to there.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's taken a while because we all have day jobs and our own lives going on, but we're slowly building. We're getting there. A lot of positive things happening. So again, it goes back to just taking action. No matter what you can do, just do what you can, and things do happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I like to do one project a week, and eventually you'll get there.
Yep. Just don't give up, right? And you'll make it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just attrition, just pure stubbornness.
Yep.
Guys, that's been Jesse Tack and Sean Jennings from PINA. If you look at the description to get their links, and also link to the PDC professional courses down there as well. We're starting enrollment now in a week or two, and we'll catch you next week. Cheers.
All right. Thank you.